everybody, I hope y'all are doing well and having a wonderful day today. I'm out here on my porch. It's a little warm, but it's got this kind of little cool breeze and smell of fall starting to come. So I thought I would come out here and have a chat with y'all on my porch. So I thought I would go ahead and talk a little bit about parenting. Y'all have probably heard me mention my family. I have a husband and I have a daughter. My daughter is 13 years old. So she's in those teenage years that started just this past May. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about that and how that is. My channel is about non-duality and the twin flame journey. So a lot of it will be what has happened since that, because there is some apparent shift in the way that I do things and perceive things since I had what some people would call an awakening. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it that nothing happened, because essentially nothing did happen. But there does seem to be some kind of perceived change that occurred, although everything around me and everything that is in my life is really exactly the same. So to talk a little bit about my journey with parenting, I'd always wanted to be a mother since a very young age, and I actually got married at a young age as well. So I got married when I was 20 years old, and shortly after we got married, we were already trying to have my daughter. We were already trying to conceive, and it didn't go so well. We had some miscarriage, and I want to say miscarriages. Over time I've had 2, but at that time I had 1, and then we were not able to conceive after that. So we went like a year without being able, maybe 2 years actually, it was 2 years, without even conceiving at all. And I was doing, everything at that time to try to conceive. I was taking vitamins, I was tracking, everything with my cycle, and just planning everything how you would need to do it to have that happen. So I was very much in that control mode of researching, doing, planning, just in this very kind of stressful state. And I can tell you, if anybody has gone through that, has had trouble conceiving or has had a miscarriage, it is very, very hard. There is a lot of suffering involved in that. There is a lot of stress, and there really is no relaxation. So anyhow, I went to the doctor. We were both going to the doctor, my husband and I at the time, trying to see what was wrong. And I may have discussed this in a previous video about relaxation, that the doctor had basically said, we've done every test that we can do. We've tested you, we've tested your husband, we're just waiting on some results for your husband, but essentially everything seems to be working fine. So basically I was told that the main thing was that I wasn't relaxed. And looking back now, I definitely was not relaxed. I was in a very stressful, wanting to control kind of state. And every time it would be that time of the month to get my cycle again, I was hoping I was pregnant, and only to find out that I wasn't. So there was a lot of disappointment there as well. So anyhow, the doctor just basically said, it's something going on with you that you need to just relax. So in that time, we took a vacation. I kind of stopped taking my vitamins and relaxed, and come to find out that same month I had conceived. So I was pregnant. I was very, very happy. At the same time, I was pretty scared because I had had that previous miscarriage. So I was very cautious of everything. I was still in a bit of a stressful state. And I had quite a few things happen throughout my pregnancy that made it difficult. I ended up in the hospital for some time, and over just like a kidney infection. And it was very stressful. I really thought that I was going to lose the baby there. I didn't want to take Tylenol. I didn't want to take medical advice. I just wanted to be left alone. I also had some issues with my placenta attaching to the wrong space in my uterus and things like that. So it was a very kind of stressful but happy time. When I got past that stage of maybe 6 months or so after I had found out that I was having a little girl, I relaxed a little bit more, thinking, okay, well, now she's, developed, even though she's still inside of me, she's developed. If something were to happen, with modern medicine and the way it is now, I think she would survive. So some of those fears that she wouldn't make it and things like that kind of subsided at that point. Anyhow, whenever she was born, that was just everything to me. My whole life changed. As any of you know that have had children, your whole life changes, not just the amount of love that you have for something now that's outside of you, but your energy, your focus, everything transforms. Your body, everything transforms. So basically, that is what happened. I spent so much time with my daughter. I found ways to stay home instead of having to work all day. I was working nights. I was doing whatever sacrifices and compromises I could do to spend the most amount of time with my daughter and take care of her in the best possible way. So, that went on, and it still is going on. Anyhow, I was very much involved in everything to do with her. For the most part, she was a very healthy, very intelligent little girl, and she still is. But now we're like at the 13-year-old age, and if you watch my videos, you may know that I had what I'd like to call maybe like a shift in perception about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. And since then, my parenting has sort of changed. My background is a lot in counseling and counseling parents and children specifically. Because I've worked a lot with children and education and all that. So I was very well versed in parenting. I had a curriculum and stuff that I would even teach to parents. But after this shift, I really realized a lot of things that I don't even really believe a lot of the things that I was even teaching at that time with that curriculum. So a lot has changed for me. But at the same time, just like I was saying, a lot really hasn't changed. So anyhow, now I've had this realization. Things start to kind of integrate with me. I took basically like a gap year. You may have watched a video on that. And in that time, a lot of things were kind of working themselves out. I was just like researching, why is this happening? What's happening? I came up to realize what was going on and whatnot. And a lot of things started to become integrated and become more of who I am today. Now, if you ask my daughter if she's noticed that anything's changed with me, I don't know what she would say. Honestly, she's never said that, like, oh, what's different? Why is something different about you? Or she's never really said anything, and nobody has really ever said anything to me. My husband has noticed certain things, and he has pointed them out to me, and basically said, I'm so proud of you with the way you handle this now, or some of these things that have happened. But I don't really think that my daughter has really noticed anything different about me. So again, it's like a strange thing. You feel like everything's different, but in the same sense, it's really not. So anyhow, when I had that realization, maybe she was 11 or 12, and prior to this, I was the parent that was very much involved, very much into like rules and boundaries and following this and doing that, and there's consequences to every action, and basically I followed a positive parenting kind of style. We never spanked or did any corporal punishment or none of that. We were just always timeouts when she was younger. When she was older, it was more following the rules. If you're not following the rules, then you lose a privilege, you lose something, right? So anyhow, after the realization, especially the age that she's at, I realized how much how important it is to just first of all love and develop that really close relationship with someone where you know what they want for themselves, what their needs really are. If y'all have ever heard of the book the 5 love languages. It's more for couples, but this is how I feel about the parenting aspect of this. With the 5 love languages, it's a book that talks about discovering your partner's love language. You know, what is it that makes them feel loved? So, like, there is things like gifts, physical attention, verbal praise, things like that. So, generally in the book, it tells you to pick, like, I believe it's 2 that resonate more with you. Share those with your partner, and your partner in turn will make sure that your love languages are spoken in that way. So after the realization, I realized I really needed to get to know my daughter. It wasn't just about rules and following what I wanted. I needed to find out what she wanted for herself. So I spent a lot more time listening, a lot more time not judging anything that she said, just listening to the things she would talk about that happened at school, you know, even if it was some boy stuff or something going on with their friends. Even as silly as it was, I was completely interested in hearing what she had to say, and there was no judgment there. If I had to put my little input in, or, you know, if it was something that I felt like I needed to say something about, I would. But for the most part, it was just a lot of listening, a lot of showing her that she could talk to me and I wouldn't be judging her, or she wouldn't be in trouble for saying something. And we grew closer that way. The second part of that was learning her love language. What did she need from me to feel loved? And so I learned that she needed more physical touch. She needed more quality time together. And the listening and not judging her really helped us bond and her express some of the things that she wanted for herself. Even some things that maybe aren't necessarily, in my opinion, okay. Like, she asked if she could say certain words that were maybe not something I would choose, and things like that, what would be okay to say. But we had these conversations and we understood each other. And another thing happened, and I'm getting a little bit emotional. I don't know why, but you know, a lot of times we want to judge our children for, like, things that they do or say or they want to do or they have a desire to do. And it's kind of a double standard, because when we were that age, if you can remember back, I know I can, and I'm just speaking from what I know, I wanted to do those things. I wanted to express myself in certain ways that maybe my parents didn't allow. And I pushed the limits or went behind their backs or tried different experiences and did things in a secret way, and then had a lot of guilt and shame afterwards. So I recognized a lot of the stuff she was saying that she was wanting for herself were things that I wanted for myself when I was younger. And they weren't necessarily the best things. Obviously, she's at that age of, you know, becoming a teenager and wanting to act like she's older and try these different things that she sees. But I had to realize that that I have to have compassion for that. You know, I can't forget everything about myself and the process of life and how it unfolds. I have to let it unfold. But this time, knowing that everything is okay. Nothing is out of place. Everything that happens, anything that happens with my daughter, anything that she shares with me, any desires and things that she has, is completely the only way it can be. Nothing's out of place or wrong. My job as a mother is really to love her, to instill her with the tools to make the best decisions. So when she's saying something that might not be good for her, you know, health, her mental health, her well-being, something like that, it's my job to kind of give her that input about my own experiences and tell her this is how it played out for me, and give actual real life experiences. And I've noticed when I share stories with her about things that have actually happened to me, when I'm relating and trying to teach her something, she internalizes that a lot more. She's more receptive to that, and she listens. She doesn't feel like she's being condemned or judged or anything. So my approach is to share actual real life experiences with her and what happened from that. And in the end, she can make her own decision, setting boundaries that are healthy for both of us, that sort of thing. But doing everything out of love and having a lot more compassion and realizing, hey, you were there at one point, and what she's expressing, what she's ultimately wanting to do, I need to respect that. And just like if I want to do something, I would hope that the people around me would respect me and encourage me to follow whatever it is that I'm wanting to do. So, yeah, a lot has changed with that. And I think it came at a perfect time because I feel like everything just happened at a perfect time. The way that I raised her as a little one and how it is now, it's all just kind of been seamless and just been perfect in how it's occurred. Of course, that's not going to be everybody's case. Everybody has different stories. And I don't want you to think that every story is like this happy story, that everything just gets fixed and is perfect, because it's certainly not. There are times that, she struggles with certain things, and I'm just there for her as long as I'm close to her in her presence and letting her know that I'm there for her. She can talk to me, she can come to me, she can confide in me and trust in me and know that I have her best interest at all times. And I have interest in whatever her interest is as well. So there's no more pressures to be a certain way, act a certain way, not embarrass me, study this because that's what's supposed to be studied, or obtain this goal, or have this lifestyle choice, or dress this way. All of that has fallen, just like the beliefs fall away when you have this non-dual experience. Your perception and your expectations of your child drop as well. All you see is this other human that you created, that's part of you, wanting to express itself. And you have such a more deeper, closer connection because it's your child. You just love it so much more. And you want what that child wants. You want that child to be happy. You want that child to express life and be unique in its own way. However that child is perfectly how that child is supposed to be. So before, I didn't like maybe something about the way she was acting. Maybe she would get too hyper sometimes, or maybe she would be too closed off or shy when I wanted her to speak up, or I wanted her to join this group or this sport because that's what I liked to do when I was younger. All of that has fallen away. I go with the flow of what she wants for herself, and I encourage her to be the best and do her best in that for however long she wants to do it. And if she chooses one day she doesn't want to do it, then that is completely okay. She's starting to get to that age of dating and wanting to like boys and things like that. And I remember back when I was that age, and those were some of the most sweet, kind of more beautiful experiences of love that I can remember. It was just a pure love, more friendship based. And I want her to learn that in a safe way and all of that. But I don't condemn her for talking about a little boy or wanting this or that for herself. I see it as such a beautiful time to experience these very beautiful things in life, like love, attraction, getting to know someone, having a good relationship, like a friendship with someone, because at her age they're not really dating, they're not really going anywhere, it's more of a friendship. And I've noticed that a lot of what has been changing in me has been kind of rubbing off on her. So it's interesting, like she really mirrors a lot of the things that I do. I spend a lot more time in nature now, and I just gaze at the clouds and see all these beautiful figures in there, and enjoy the animals and nature around where I live. And I've noticed my daughter, she's always now pointing out how beautiful that is, how beautiful this is. And there was a time she would, when I would tell her it was beautiful or something like that, she would just be like, oh, you're just silly or something like that. But now she's starting to see all that, and she's really, truly mesmerized by some of this stuff. Because I'll point it out to her and she'll look at it, and then she'll find things on her own and point them out to me. And we listen to music, we do all kinds of things, and there's no limits to life. So it's not like before I used to say, oh, we're not listening to this kind of music because it's not Christian music, or in the car we only listen to this radio station. But I'm a lot more open now, and whatever she wants to listen to, we listen to it and we discuss it. If there's something in it that's hurtful or harmful or something like that, I always point that out to her. Hey, did you notice like what he said there, or what? And even if it's like a really sad song or something some people might deem depressing, I'm also pointing out to her, isn't it interesting how, that songwriter wrote that song? He was feeling his feelings so deeply that he was able to put it in these words. And, I kind of point these things out to her, because life, no matter how it's happening, is beautiful, whatever it is. There's no really right or wrong in anything. Of course, we want certain things for our children. We desire them to have, seamless, effortless type of life and just be successful in all of these things. But the truth is, everyone in life is having struggles. Everybody in life is learning something. Everybody in life is going through something. Everybody in life experiences the highs and the lows. That's life. And I totally recognize that. So I'm gonna be there for her no matter what, through the highs and lows, just supporting her, showing her love so that she continues to flourish in whichever way she wants to go. So I don't really have any parenting advice. Basically, my whole thing is to let your child be, support them, love them, show them through examples. Be an example, be a role model for them. That is more important than just setting down rules and being an authoritarian towards them. They will eventually rebel from that. But if they see the love and you showing them, you taking time to talk to them, to listen to them, to be an example, show them your past mistakes. If they haven't been in that time when you had those mistakes, share that with them when it's appropriate. How did that play out? What did you learn? Sharing all those experiences with them, that is so much more meaningful to the child, in my opinion. I'm only speaking from my own experience, than, coming down on them with, an iron fist or something like that. So that's kind of what I see from parenting, and I feel very blessed to have a daughter that I can spend time with, that I can share these things with, that I can watch, become this beautiful young adult now. She's a teenager, but she's growing. She's taller than I am. And it's just very beautiful. So, let's see. The other thing was, well, I felt like there was something else I wanted to discuss with that, but in any case, that's the main gist of it all. That's what's changed for me with parenting. Again, it really isn't something that you can really see or tell. I'm still the same person I am. Maybe some things have softened with me. Maybe some things have changed a little bit with me, but overall, I'm still the same person. I still do a lot of the same things around the house. I still like holidays. I still like celebrating certain things. I always put her first, but that's always been the case. And just so, I want the best for her. And I want to share that with her and share life with her and help her to experience life more fully and more deeply. I can remember when I was, like a younger adult and, or even teenager, And I remember those times are so special when you're so full of dreams and ideas and like, oh yeah, I want to go to this place. It's going to be so wonderful. I'm going to dress up this way. I'm going to play. I'm going to see all these friends. Or, you know, your first job, it's going to be so wonderful. I'm going to have this job and then I'm going to buy this car and all this, you know, all this excitement. And I remember when I was younger, I had dreams of going to Hollywood and doing all this stuff. You know, I wouldn't really think of that now, but in that innocence, in that excitement of being a young person, it's so beautiful because, you know, as you get older, you get more jaded in some ways. You know, you've been through so many things that you realize, you know, life's not that easy. You can't just pick up and go to Hollywood and become, you know, the next movie star. But at that age, you're very much just excited by life, excited by that you'll have this freedom soon to be 18 and go off and do what you want, make your own life. And that is so beautiful. And that also ties into this non-dual realization that after you have this realization, that spark for life comes back and you realize, you know what? I can start this YouTube channel, or I can do this thing, or I can change my career. I have the power to do what I want. This is life happening, and I can be the chooser and doer of these things, even though there's no self. It definitely feels like I'm doing it, and you're free to do it because whatever you do is completely and totally fine, accepted, in harmony, and couldn't be any other way. So it's your path. Whatever you choose is your path. Even though there really is no one doing it, it's just happening. It's such a crazy paradox. The more this is embodied, the more I feel like the doer of things, but I have the underlying realization that I'm not doing this, but I'm completely fine and taken care of in whatever choice I make. And if it doesn't turn out well, that's life. I'm not doing it. It's just happening. And you just roll with life, whether it turns out good or bad. But you have this new kind of excitement for life that appears, and it doesn't really seem to disappear. You feel like you have no boundaries. You're boundless. You're free to be whatever unique expression you are, and you don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You just go do it, and whatever happens, happens. So anyhow, it's kind of a lot of rambling and all kinds of stuff. You know, I used to be a parent. They call them parent educators, you know, teaching parents all these things. And like what I just shared with you is absolutely not even a curriculum, not even anything. But I think that showing your child love, showing them life through actual experiences, loving life, and being a role model and sharing your experiences with them, and allowing them space to express themselves without judgment or cutting them off when they're wanting to say something or do something, and giving them some trust, giving them a little wiggle room to try some things that they want to try. You know, going to see a friend, or, you know, going to the movies, you know, one day, something like that. You know, all of these things is just enriching their life. And if they know that you're there, loving them, supporting them, not judging them, just there as their biggest cheerleader, that in turn is going to help parenting more than you can imagine. If you can do that, you'll see all those behavior problems diminish. A lot of times children just want your attention. A lot of children, they just want 5 minutes when you come home from work of undivided attention. They just want you to be interested in something that they're interested in. If they're interested in, I don't know what kids are interested in, like Roblox or some movie or video game, you know, show some interest in that. Even though you're not maybe interested in that, show some interest in that. Just like you would in a relationship with another person, like a significant other. A lot of times, you know, I have to show interest in cars and things for my husband. Do the same for your children. They deserve it, and you'll be better for it. The whole family will be better for it. So I'm getting a little tickle in my throat. I think getting a little allergic to something out here, but I just basically wanted to share just a little update about how parenting is for me now, and just share some of that with you. So thank you for watching.